Representative Jasmine Crockett reflected on her decision to vote against a measure honoring slain Turning Point USA co-founder Charlie Kirk. She condemned political violence, saying it hurt her heart that only 2 Caucasians joined her opposition to it. One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out, that honestly hurts my heart, is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people who voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color, Crockett said on CNN's State of the Union. The House passed a resolution honoring Kirk, 31, and denouncing political violence. All 215 Republicans and 95 Democrats voted for the measure, and 58 Democrats, mostly members of the Congressional Black Caucus, voted against the resolution. 38 Democrats voted present, and 22 Democrats skipped the vote altogether. The 2 white Democrats to vote against were Representatives Seth Moulton and Mike Quigley. Earlier, at the House Oversight Committee hearing, Republican Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene gave a reality check to Democratic Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett, as the Democrat claimed that 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is a supporter of President Donald Trump because his grandmother stated their family is all MAGA.
Ms. Crockett, for unanimous consent.
Yes, Mr. Chair, since I wasn't allowed equal time to debate, I have a UC. It is from, it looks like Yahoo News. It says, Charlie Kirk suspect's grandma says family is all MAGA.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes Ms. Green from Georgia.
Mr. Chair, Miranda, UC as well.
We'll recognize you next time. Chair, Ms. Green, it's your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can assure you that the man, the 22-year-old man, Tyler Robinson, that murdered Charlie Kirk is not MAGA. His family may be Republican, but all of the evidence that is being presented proves that he is a far leftist, very much integrated in online groups that are linked to Antifa. He was in a relationship with a biological male, so-called furry, whatever that is transitioning to be a fake woman. He was not MAGA, not one bit. That is a complete lie, and it's an insult to every single Republican and person that identifies with those type of politics. We will not tolerate it, and that is the exact type of language that is getting many of us death threats day after day, and led to shootings on the baseball field where Steve Scalise was shot. This is what led to President Trump nearly being assassinated this past summer. This is what has led to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. And so I just want to give a warning there. We're not going to tolerate that anymore. You know, something else we're not going to tolerate is crime. On August 11th, President Trump announced major steps to address the out-of-control crime in the district. Thank God, because this is my 5th year in Congress, and living in D.C. and working here has been a nightmare. It is. The crime is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And let's talk about some of that. Since President Trump thankfully brought in the National Guard, carjackings have decreased by 87%. Nearly 1,200 people have been arrested, including known members of MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Those are both foreign terrorist organizations. By the way, many of them came across the border while Democrats controlled this country in the past 4 years. Federal law enforcement seized nearly 120 firearms and busted a drug trafficking ring attempting to smuggle fentanyl, PCP, and cocaine into D.C. A joint effort by ICE and MPD arrested an illegal alien previously charged with sex crimes against a child. D.C. went 12 days without a single homicide. Can you imagine that that's something that the National Guard had to be here to do? It's unbelievable to anybody that is right-minded. U.S. Attorney Pirro reported that 88% of arrests made between the start of the federal deployment on August 11th and August 25th resulted in charges being filed. This is substantially higher than in 2024, where the Biden-appointed U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves charged suspects only 57% of the time. That's because he was busy chasing down MAGA grandmas that went into the Capitol. So I've got a simple question for you. Mayor Bowser, do you prioritize criminals or the victims?
I prioritize law-abiding DC residents, visitors, and workers.
So that would be law-abiding citizens and victims. Do you support the police, Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson, do you prioritize criminals or victims of criminals?
I believe in swift and certain justice. And
No,
if
I asked you
somebody has committed
either
a
one,
crime-
victims of criminals, of crime, or the criminals themselves. Which one do you prioritize?
As I understand the question, victims.
Victims. Do you support the police, Mr. Mendelson?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Schwab, I'll ask you the same questions.
Unfortunately, hurt people. So sometimes victims are victims one day and
So
our
you
perpetrators
prioritize the
next day.
criminals, is that what you're saying, over victims of crime?
I prioritize making up my city as safe as it can possibly be.
I'll take that as criminals. Do you support police, Mr. Schwab?
Of course, we work very closely with MPD every day.
Mr. Jackson, the same questions for you.
Definitely prioritize victims, and I stand with the 24 states that are suing the Trump administration for withholding $1 billion in victim service funds.
So you're against cleaning up crime in D.C. Thank you for that. I've got an article here. The D.C. Police Union head is the biggest cheerleader of Trump's D.C. police takeover. So the police here in the district support the efforts and the help from the president. However, I've got a quote here from Mr. Mendelson. You call the union celebrating Trump's takeover just despicable. You literally attack the police in your statements. You're calling
That's not correct.
the union supporting the president and the National Guard here, helping them every day on the streets. You're quoted as saying that's just despicable.
You're taking that out of context. I criticized the president of the FOP because he is a liar.
Oh, so you are against the police. Thank
No,
you for clearing that up.
no.
Also, I have
president
one.
of the
I
FOP.
also
I
have
believe her
one
time
last
is
thing,
The
Mr.
president
Chairman.
of the FOP, not the police.
I reclaim my time. Lastly, here, Mr.
Gentlelady's
Mendelson.
time's expired. Gentlelady's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr. Bell.
Mr. Chairman, I have a UC request.
Okay, state your.
I would like to
hold
enter
on.
for the
No, no.
record.
All right,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
Mr.
I'm
Chair.
sorry, Ms. Green. I recognize Bell. That's on me. I apologize. We'll get you on the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I request unanimous consent to enter into the record the September 9th, 2025 article from the LA Times titled Kennedy Commission Child Health Report Ignores Gun Violence, the Leading Cause of Child Death, which calls out the Trump administration for ignoring
Without
how gun
objection, so
violence
ordered.
kills more children in this country than any other cause, and the administration ought to be embarrassed by that.
Without objection, so ordered. And I.
I think Ms. Crockett's unanimous.
Ms. Crockett's next.
Do you have a UC?
I'll recognize Ms. Green, then Ms. Crockett. Ms. Green, do you have a unanimous consent request?
I do, thank you. For the record, Phil Mendelson's post here says repealing our laws is not liberation. Republicans in Congress can't be trusted. They took $1 billion from us, are moving more than a dozen bills, rolling back home rule, and are trying to take away our elected independent attorney general and micromanaging our legislative process. I hope everybody watched Democrats vote against the vote that adds $1 billion back in for D.C. Thank you.
Without objection to order, Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
Yes,
for,
I request
UC.
unanimous consent to enter into the record this September 16th, 2025 article from Time titled Trump Called for a Crackdown on the Radical Left, but Right-Wing Extremists Are Responsible for More Political Violence, which calls out the game the president is playing, in which he creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public, from the Oklahoma City bombing to January 6th. I got
Without
another
objection,
one.
so ordered.
All right, the next one is for, it's an article from September 12, 2025. Article is from Democracy Docket titled, I Couldn't Care Less, Trump's downplaying of right-wing violence continues long pattern, which calls out the game the president is playing, in which he creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public.
Without objection, so ordered.